What's up guys, my name is Lauren and I am very excited about today's video because we are back for another annual budget. I did an annual budgeting video last year and we've done an annual budget for a few years now, but I shared it for the first time last year and I just love budgeting for the whole year. I just think it's really helpful in setting financial goals and seeing how your money is going to be spent when you add up all of the months all together and look at it like all on one spreadsheet. So we're going to go over our 2023 budget for our family in today's video. And if you like this spreadsheet, you can actually get it in my Etsy shop. It's an instant download to Google Sheets and it comes with a detailed video tutorial. If you buy my budget spreadsheet, you get this annual budget and you also get a monthly budget for both net and gross budgeting. So I will link that in the video description. My shop is actually on sale through the end of the year. So I made a mistake last year, and let me tell you what happened. So last year was the first full year of running my own business, which is very, very part-time and ended up being even more part-time than I had planned because when my second baby was born, just all hell broke loose and it was just such a chaotic time. I thought I was gonna have way more time. I thought I had this parenting thing down and it just didn't go exactly as smoothly as I was hoping. So anyway, last year I budgeted off of my very optimistic projections on my business income. And it turns out that didn't work out how I had planned because I wasn't able to work as much and just things didn't keep increasing as I thought they would because over the past few years, like over the months, my income has increased, like not exactly month over month, but quarterly kind of it's been increasing and I thought that would continue and it did not exactly go that way. So my point of telling you all this is last year we budgeted off of what I projected my business income to be rather than like what I could definitely guarantee my business income was going to be. And so we're not going to make that mistake again this year. So what I'm doing for our budget is budgeting off of the minimum I think that we can very safely make this year. And so that's why when you see our annual income for 2022, you're going to see it's over 150,000. It's going to end up being around 157,000 or something. But for this budget, I am budgeting off of $150,000 of income. And that way we can keep our spending in check and budget off of making 150. And then if we make more, I can work on really making sure that extra goes to financial goals, which would be pay yourself first and debt payoff. So the other thing that has been really eye-opening to me when I completed this budget is our family, it's a family of four, brings in $150,000 a year. To me, that sounds like a lot of money. Now, I'm a lawyer. I used to work full-time as a lawyer and now I don't anymore. And I have a whole bunch of videos talking about that big decision. But we used to bring in significantly more when I worked full-time as a lawyer. But even without me working full-time and me working part-time and just my husband working full-time, we still bring in $150,000. And I feel like that objectively is a lot of money. But when you go through our budget, and you'll see this when we pay all of just our bills and have some daycare costs and pet costs and put a little bit of money aside for car maintenance and house maintenance and stuff like that, and pay our minimum payment on our student loan and not even put 15% to retirement, it feels tight. It really does. And that just blows my mind. And I've been over this budget more times than I care to admit, just trying to figure out how do we get this to be tighter. And I think the one place we could tighten up potentially is spending money. But even then, that would only save us $2,000-$3,000 for the whole year. It's not something that's that significant. So anyway, I just find it amazing that even bringing in $150,000, and granted, we do live in a high cost of living state. And so our utilities are higher than average and our real estate taxes are higher than average, all those types of things. But we don't live in some crazy fancy house. When we bought our house 5 years ago, it was $340,000. And so the average cost of a home in our state, I think I read recently, it's $600,000. So we even have a very modest home for our area. And we are just just everything's tight. So anyway, I'll get into it, but I don't know. It's crazy to me. So let's take a look. So for the year, we are expecting income of 150,000. And actually the income you'll see here, I'm going to keep this zoomed out for a second and then I'll zoom in. I put the actual estimate of what I think we'll bring in because it varies month to month based on different stuff that goes on with my husband's pay schedule. Mine's a little more consistent because I picked a minimum amount that I'm going to pay myself for my business every month and that's it. But it does vary. But then when you look at the expenses, they are generally consistent across each month and broken out evenly. So in reality, that's not how we're actually going to do things because some months we'll have more income and we'll put more towards a financial goal or towards a sinking fund, and other months we'll have less income and we'll put less towards financial goals or whatever. But just for ease of understanding the budget, I just put it pretty consistent across the board. So what I'm going to do, so this is a little easier to see as we go through, I'm actually just going to scroll all the way over to December, which is generally a fine representation of what we're doing monthly. And then you can also see the annual total here for all of the amounts. So you can see how much we're planning to put towards each thing this year. So 150,000, I did hide a couple rows for taxes. Obviously, these three numbers don't add up to 49,000, but there are a significant amount of taxes that are going to be withheld from our pay, and so it's broken out for me and my husband, and so I hide that for privacy. But yeah, this is part of where a lot of the money's going. We have almost $50,000 that's going to go towards taxes, health insurance. This is a flex spending account, which is for medical costs as well. And then we are going to try to take advantage of the dependent FSA that is available through my husband's work. That starts in April for us and will help pay for my daughter's preschool costs with pre-tax money. So we didn't take advantage of that this year because we weren't sure when she was going to start preschool, but hopefully we'll be able to do it this year to save a little bit on taxes. But total taxes and health insurance and some childcare costs right off the top, we've got almost $50,000 is going towards that. So next for Pay Yourself First, we are going to continue to put at least the amount to get the employer match towards my husband's 401k. So if we do that, we will contribute $7,800 to his 401k in 2023. And then I've only budgeted $1,000 for my Roth IRA and my brokerage accounts. I hope that I'm able to put significantly more to my retirement account, but because I don't have a match or anything, it just doesn't feel like as much of a priority as my husband's 401k, although we wanted to be a little more balanced in how we contribute to retirement this year. And as you see this budget, it's not super balanced. So again, if our income is more than projected, which it hopefully will be, and I'm hopefully just being very conservative in my estimate of what we're budgeting off of, then we will be able to put more to my Roth IRA. And I think what I'm going to do this year is my financial goals that I set for tracking all throughout the year, I think I'm going to set to be amounts much higher than these amounts you see here. And so whatever our financial goals are going to be different than what we're budgeting off of. And I think that's the mistake I made. I budgeted off of goals rather than reality or potential kind of worst case scenario. And so just because we're budgeting off of a lower amount, I think I'm still going to set goals off of a higher amount. And that way it'll push us a little bit and kind of be the best of both worlds. Okay, next is stock options. So we have stock options and we want to exercise the remaining ones we have. We already have exercised some, but we want to exercise them. And by exercise, I just mean we buy the options. So basically, sometimes when you get hired at a company, if it's a smaller company, they will offer you to be a part owner in the company. And then if the company does well and at some point is either sold or acquired, then you have the option at that point to liquidate your stock for whatever the purchase price is at that point. But you have your option to buy the stock is at a much lower price much earlier on. So I hope I explained that well. So anyway, we have stock options that are hopefully going to be worth a lot of money one day in the near future or semi-near future. And so we are going to exercise those options just so we exercise them with plenty of time for whatever liquidity event. So we're holding them for long enough for tax reasons to get long-term capital gains tax rate. This is all stuff that I talked about with our CPA. I am a lawyer, but I am not a tax attorney. So I still defer to an expert for that type of stuff. And so, yeah, that's what we are doing. We're exercising the rest of our options. So that is a priority this year, like over my Roth IRA even, to get that completed so we can be good there. And so total for savings and retirement that we have budgeted in this annual budget is $13,200. Next, for my husband's student loan, his payment is $830 a month, and I just added an extra $40 to that, so it could be an even $10,000 for the year. You know, I definitely want to pay more than this. Like, we're not just planning on paying the minimum and only $40 extra for the year. We're definitely planning on paying more. But again, you know, budgeting off of kind of like minimum income, I think will bring in, and being able to accomplish all the other things we want to accomplish financially this year, that is all that's left to put towards student loans. So I'm going to talk about this in kind of a debt-free journey year 3 recap, but year 3 was tough, and year 4 might be tough too, because the first 2 years we put about $60,000 to debt because I was still working in my full-time career, and so we had a lot of excess income to put towards debt, and now we don't. And so it's definitely worth it. I'm so happy with my decision. I don't regret it at all, but it does feel like a little bit painful to see how quickly we were going before and then have it slow down so drastically. But it's for good reason to be home with my kids, and they will only be this age once. So again, I don't regret it at all. I think we're still going to be debt free in the next few years. And so if I had stayed in my job another year, maybe we'd be debt free like 12 months sooner, and in the scheme of life that just wasn't worth it. But still, these last like few years dragging this out longer rather than just like nipping it in the bud and getting it done, it is hard. So I'll talk about that more though soon. All right, so debt payments total in this budget are $10,000. Next, we've got our condo fee. So this goes up every year. So it was $201 and now it's $207. It just goes up by $6. So, but it is eye-opening to be like, oh, well, it's only $207 a month. Like, that's not that much. Well, it's like $2,500 for the year. And that's why I like these annual budgets. It kind of gives you a better sense of like, what does $200 a month mean? Like for the year, $2,500, that's a lot. It does add up, but that's a non-negotiable. We have to pay that. And so that's our condo fee. And then for our mortgage, we are just paying the minimum on that, $1,880. We are hoping to potentially sell our home in 2023, so that will change at some point, but the total on that is $22,560. And then life insurance, we pay $50 a month for 2 term policies, so that's $600 for the year. And then internet, we pay $106 a month, so that's $1,272. We've thought about trying to go with a slower internet speed, but my husband does a lot of webinars where he's like speaking live for work, and so having really good internet is important for his job. And so yeah, we're just hesitant to change anything with that because we know that the internet speed that we have is working really well, but it doesn't hurt to like renegotiate the price. So if we're moving, like, I don't know if it's worth the time to renegotiate it, but maybe I'll try to call our internet provider and see if they have any deals or anything that we could take advantage of, because even if we're only here for another 6 months, that will still be savings if we can lower that. So, and then we've got our home security system for $28 a month, so that's only $336 for the year. Car insurance, we don't pay $200. Why does that say $200? Okay, car insurance, we pay $91 a month, so that's just under $1,100 for the year. And cell phone, we pay $200 a month, although our 2 iPhones that we bought like a year and a half ago are going to be paid off soon. So there's only like, I think $400 left on them left to pay. So that payment will go down, I think, to like $150 at some point during the year, but I just left it at $200 because I'm not quite sure when that's going to happen. So $2,400 or hopefully less for the year for cell phones. And then Spotify is $10 a month. So that's $120 for the year. And then we have groceries. And you know, some people may think we may be able to spend less on groceries, but it's funny because we haven't increased our grocery budget for a while, And so pre-inflation, a lot of people used to comment like, oh, that's so crazy for a grocery budget, but we were able to keep it at this budget as inflation happened. And now I feel like people think it's more reasonable. Not that it matters what people think about our budget, it's our decision about our money, but still, I just found it interesting that like I get a lot less comments now that inflation's been going on about what we spend for groceries. So every month we do groceries once a week. So sometimes there's 5 grocery trips and sometimes there's 4. So you're seeing in December for 5 grocery trips, but we budget $250 a week. So that ends up being $13,000 for the year for groceries. And that includes any takeout that we get. And that also includes household items like paper towels and dishwasher soap and stuff like that. Next, we've got gas. So we have been budgeting $200 for gas. Hopefully that will continue to work for us in 2023. So that's $2,400 for the year. And then finally, I budgeted $50 a month for unexpected or miscellaneous expenses, and that is $1,290. Actually, no, that math doesn't add up. There's a couple other charges in here of miscellaneous things like a credit card, annual fee, or something like that that I put in this line item. So there's a few other things throughout the year that I track. They're like subscriptions or things that renew that we have to pay. And so that's why the math doesn't add up. Otherwise, it would be just $600. So it's $1,300 with all the other little miscellaneous things that I put in this category. Next, we are not planning to put anything into our emergency fund this year from our income. If we do sell our home, hopefully we will be able to put a bunch of money from that sale into an emergency fund potentially. Like that's one of the things I would like to do is increase our emergency fund. But at this point with our budget being so tight, it doesn't make sense to put like small amounts over time. I feel comfortable with our emergency fund as is. It's about 1 month, maybe a month and a half of expenses. And so, yeah, we're like pretty good with the emergency fund. Obviously, I would like it to be more like 3 to 6 months of expenses, but with our debt payoff and just trying to put towards retirement, it just doesn't feel like necessary to have more at this point, but I would like to increase it eventually. So we'll see how the year plays out, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on, like kind of on the back burner is can we increase our emergency fund as well? And then vacation fund, I haven't budgeted anything for that. I hope we do end up putting something towards vacation, but we do have like $1,500 in there now. So I'm not feeling like the urgent need to budget anything for vacation. And again, like this budget's so tight, like this is what I'm talking about. I would love to be able to put $3,000 to vacation, but it's just not feeling like there's room for it. Like maybe if we all cut back our spending money, we could put more money to vacation, but your spending money is kind of like your day-to-day comfort, and vacation is like once or twice a year enjoyment. So anyway, let me scroll down here. Okay, so we've got medical expenses. Our FSA should cover most of our medical expenses, but I do plan to put $100 a month aside in case there's more. For example, in 2022, we depleted our FSA and we're definitely going to need to pay for other medical bills that are coming in. So assuming a similar thing happens next year, which may not, because, I had a baby in 2022. So that was an expensive year for me for medical bills, but I hopefully won't have an expensive year in 2023 because we're not having another kid or any more kids at this point. So yeah, I think that should be enough. We may not need that money, but I do like having a little bit of buffer. And again, talking about the emergency fund, like anything we put into a sinking fund that we don't use and just is sitting there is kind of like extra emergency fund. So I'm like not mad about it that we have a little bit of extra money sitting there if we don't use it, and just kind of gives me that peace of mind. Next, for my husband's spending, he gets $200 a month, so that's $2,400 for the year. Just realized I didn't block out my daughter's names, which I don't usually share on here. I think I can do that in like post with editing. Anyway, okay. They're blocked out now. So for myself and my 2 daughters, we each get $150 a month, so that's $1,800 for the year. For activities and preschool, we budget $1,000 a month. However, some months will be covered by the dependent FSA, hopefully, so it's only $7,500 for the year instead of $12,000 to account for the dependent FSA. And then for my CAP miles, in 2022, we had been budgeting $200 and it just wasn't covering it, so I bumped it up to $250. We may need to increase this more, but again, it's just kind of tight, so I'm just seeing if $250 works. And we'll go from there. We usually do $100 a month for gifts, but we did have a bunch of extra money from 2022 that we didn't end up using for gifts. So because of that, we have that extra, like a few $100s from last year. I bumped this down to $50 a month, so total of $600 for the year, and also put car maintenance at $50 a month for a total of $600 for the year. Fingers crossed that that works for us. And then for home maintenance, we are budgeting $150 a month for a total of $1,800. For utilities, we are budgeting $400 a month for a total of $4,800. And I really hope that that's enough. Again, this one might have to increase as well. We'll just see how this winter goes. And then for girls' birthday / Christmas, we are budgeting $150 a month. We used to do $100, but now that we have 2 daughters and just with expenses going up with inflation, we bumped it up to $150. This is kind of like $500 each for their birthdays to cover like presents and whatever sort of like celebration we do. And then $800 for Christmas, which covers like Christmas cards, Christmas presents. We usually go through like a Christmas lights drive-through, get pajamas, matching pajamas for the family, get outfits for the girls and stuff like that. So hopefully all that will work out budget wise. And yeah, so total we have planned to go to sinking funds is $29,000. And when you add all these up, it gets you to $149,314. It was a little closer to the $150, but I had accidentally put the car insurance at $200 for like half the year for some reason. So this was like $30 before I started this video, but now it looks like we have like closer to $600 to allocate elsewhere. But again, this is all like just projections. It's not actual income. So obviously it's going to end up being different than what we projected anyway. As you can see, like for example, right here, minus 1606, obviously the income we're expecting to bring in December is not going to cover all these things. And so we need to plan for that ahead of time in months where we have higher income by like maybe pre-funding the utilities sinking fund or the preschool sinking funds, like something I know that won't accidentally get spent elsewhere. Like I don't like pre-funding our spending money because it tends to get spent in advance if it's funded. And so yes, maybe some utilities or something like that. Or we also just, probably will not exercise any stock options that month. So there's things we can cut back on for those particular months to make the budget work for that month. But tell me what you guys think. Like, as I look through this, I don't feel like there's a lot of like things we can cut. Obviously, like we don't have to save for retirement, but it's really important to us. So there's $13,000 there. But the thing is, like, we have to pay our student loans, we have to pay our taxes, we have to pay for healthcare, mortgage. Like we could get rid of our home security system, but that would only save us $300. We have to pay car insurance. We could probably get on a cheaper cell phone, but again, it's like $1,000 maybe we would save. And this stuff does add up. I mean, we cut our budget like bare bones at the beginning of our debt-free journey and it does add up. But like we're still pretty bare bones. I feel like we don't have a ton excess. Like we don't have like multiple subscriptions to different streaming services and stuff like that. We just have one for $10. Groceries, we've tried to cut back before and it just doesn't work for our family. Like this is the amount we need for groceries and we barely get takeout. I cook at home almost every single night. So yeah, that's just is what it is. And, besides the spending money, like I said, I mean, preschool, I guess you can say that's optional because it is, but it's really important to me and my husband to give my toddler opportunity to socialize with other kids and learn. And she really loves it. And she also goes to gymnastics and a couple other like little activities that all comes from this fund. So that's something that could be cut if it was like a necessity, but it's a high priority for us to give our daughter that opportunity. So it's not really something we want to cut. We've got our cat. We give gifts, we maintain our car and our house and pay utilities and spend a modest amount on Christmas. I mean, it's just shocking to me this budget can be this tight when we have $150,000 of income. So maybe I'm overestimating on the taxes a little bit. Like maybe we'll have a little bit more from taxes that we are able to put towards our budget. Let me know what you guys think. Like, are there any opportunities that you guys see in our budget to improve things? Because I'm not seeing it. And I'd like there to be some magical thing that all of a sudden there's an extra 10 grand in here that we don't need to be spending. But I don't see that. When I look at it. And my husband and I have talked about it and he just doesn't see it either. In fact, we'd like to be spending more. Like there's no fund in here for a babysitter so we can go on a date. Like, there's just stuff that we would like to be spending money on. We're not even budgeting any money for a vacation, So if we take a vacation, we're going to spend $1,500 or less, or have to put money towards vacation from extra income we bring in. So I don't know, just wild to me. I can't quite understand it. But I mean, even just looking at our mortgage, you can't get rent of $1,800 like around where we live. Like that's just not available unless it's maybe like a 1-bedroom and we're a family of 4. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys like running into the same issues? Do you have what seems to be really good income, but it just doesn't stretch as far as it feels like it should? Comment below. Let me know, are you guys doing an annual budget? If you're not, let this be your sign to do your annual budget, get you motivated for the new year. I just love doing an annual budget. It just really opens your eyes to make sure you're prioritizing where your money's going and also the reality of your finances, like how much you have to play with, or in our case, like don't have to play with. So, you know, obviously the solution to this problem is make more money, which we are really going to try to do, but you know, nothing's guaranteed. So we'll just do the best we can to make that happen this year and see how much we can put towards financial goals and maybe a little bit to vacation. So thank you guys so much for watching. As I mentioned, if you like the spreadsheet, you can get it in my Etsy shop. I'll link that in the video description. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. It really helps out my channel, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.